Welcome. In this video, we are going to review the great StarFlow paper. It's a large normalizing flow model that generates high-resolution image synthesis with a competitive performance. And basically, it's building on the StarFlow building block that we discussed last week. If you did not ever look at my latest video on StarFlow, maybe I would advise you to have a look at it before watching this video. But yeah, let's dive in. So basically here you see results from the model at different aspect ratio. And basically, yeah, as I said, they are building on top of the StarFlow building block. They are also from Apple, and basically there are a lot of authors from this paper were also in the StarFlow paper. So they have a deep shallow design. So basically in the StarFlow paper, all blocks at the same depth. But here, basically, they will the blocks the closest to the prior will have more will be deeper, while the ones closer to the image will be shallow. But we're going to discuss that later. In the latest, in StarFlow, they trained everything directly in image space. Here, they will learn an encoder on a decoder, and they will train the model in the latent space. And they also revise the guidance algorithm that was proposed in StarFlow. They say that it had some flaws, and they improve it in this paper. And they say that the sample quality is approaching state-of-the-art diffusion models. We're going to see that later. So far, before this paper, or before they revised or went back to normalizing flows that had been put on the side over the last few years, there were two main approaches, two main great categories for image generation. One is either autoregressive image generation, and I've already discussed that a bit on my channel, so I would advise you to have a look at that. Either autoregressive image generation or diffusion models. Here they go back to normalizing flows. As I've said, that they've received little attention. But thanks to this paper, onto the StarFlow paper, now normalizing flows are coming back. We hear a bit of background on normalizing flows, but I already explained all of that in my latest video, so I will not spend much time on that. It's just training with maximum likelihood estimation, MLE. Again, normalizing flows are very easy to train. The training loss behaves very nicely, and it correlates very well with image quality. So that's something that is very enjoyable, very nice. Here they give some background on StarFlow. I will maybe skip that. So here they have a proposition, and basically this is something that comes often with normalizing flows. Usually there are many papers that, or at least that's a common properties. Usually with normalizing flows, you need you need to stack at least 3 blocks. Let's say that your building block is StarFlows, but it could be another kind of flow. Usually you need 3 or more blocks for your full architecture to be a universal approximator. Again, that's not for all normalizing flows, but for most of them it's the case. And usually we see propositions like this one. And basically here, that's what they say. They say that if you stack 3 or more StarFlows together, you have a universal approximator. So let's have a look at the proposed architecture. So basically they say that it's not clear how you should allocate your compute across those blocks. I believe I don't recall if it's just intuition or if there is some empirical findings later. Here it seems that they do that through the lens of guidance, but they allocate more blocks, more compute to the blocks closer to the prior, so to the latent, and then fewer compute closer to the image. That's a bit the opposite of diffusion models. Well, that's not the opposite of diffusion models, but basically, let's have a look at this figure. So basically, this figure, through the lens of guidance, basically the conclusion is that guidance is only effective up to the first 3 blocks. So basically for the blocks beyond the third block, guidance is not useful anymore. So basically it seems that from that they conclude that it's best to have more compute close to the prior. And basically they say that basically that's what they say about diffusion models. The network export layers closest to the noise in opposition to diffusion models. And that's why they want to put more compute close to the noise. And therefore that leads to an architecture that is skewed, a deep shallow architecture, a bit like autoregressive LLMs such as Llama. And they also say that they could design conditional models. And they say that the preliminary experiment show that you can allocate mainly, you can condition only the deep blocks, so the blocks closest to the noise, and then the latest block that generates the final details don't need to be conditioned. They can just work with they can just refine the image as an unconditional task. And they only then condition the deep blocks. Okay, so as we've said in the beginning, they train everything in latent space. They just cite, or use ST 1.4 as an example. They're going to train their own encoder and decoder. As we said with StarFlow, dequantization is very important in training normalizing flows. And in the StarFlow paper, they find that it's better to add a bit of Gaussian noise rather than doing a uniform dequantization, which used to be the go-to when training normalizing flows. So here, the issue, but again, we discussed all of that in my latest paper review. The issue with adding Gaussian noise is that then your normalizing flows learns to generate noisy images. And then you need to do a last step at when you do inference, you generate your noisy image. Then you need to do one denoising step, using score denoising to remove the noise. Here, what's interesting is that this denoising will be integrated into the autoencoder. The decoder will be used to seeing noisy latent and will do the will remove the noise by itself. So basically, they say that it becomes unnecessary to perform this additional score-based denoising, which was needed with StarFlow. They train an encoder and a decoder. I think it's pretty standard. They use the evidence lower bound, and for training the decoder, they use a perceptual loss on a GAN loss. I believe the GAN loss is based on patch GAN, but it's very common when training autoencoders. If you're familiar with that, if you fine-tune maybe autoencoders or related to diffusion models, that's very common. We also saw in the latest paper review, or in the latest paper, they introduced cluster-free guidance for normalizing flows. But in this paper, they say that it lacked some mathematical foundation. Here I will not dive into details, but basically they go back to the initial definition of cluster-free guidance, and they propose a cluster-free guidance algorithm that is much more sound, with much more foundations mathematically. So basically, this algorithm, the end goal of cluster-free guidance, as you know, is to be a bit more mode-seeking, to generate better images. But here, this formulation is better than the naive one from StarFlow. They say that you can do training free in painting, but you can also fine-tune the model, for example, to do in painting. You can do either training free in painting, or you can fine-tune the model to do in painting, and you can also fine-tune the model to do editing, for example. So they also fine-tune the model so that it can do on image editing dataset, so that it can follow instructions. Here there is an example. For example, they start with an initial image, and they can give instructions to the model to modify the image. Let's come back to where we were. Okay, here are all the training details. Maybe we don't need to spend much time on that. They do mixed resolution training, so they bucket the images into 9 shape buckets, and they train on those. They train, they have different models ranging from 1.4 billion to 3.8 billion parameters. What is great with normalizing flows is that inference is done in a single fold pass. There is no, you don't need to run the model many times, such as in diffusion. Here are some examples of images generated by the model. Yeah. Okay, so they compare the model to to either diffusion models, so transformer-based diffusion models, but also to autoregressive image generation models. Here we can have a look at the FID. So the FID computed with 4K images, on the FID computed with 50K images. So usually, basically the more images you use for FID, the better. So this plot should be the best on the one we look at. But basically, here you can see that StarFlow is competitive with DIT on autoregressive models. Let's just say that it's competitive. But when we use 50K images, the FID is more accurate, or should be more accurate, and we see that StarFlow is really overperforming diffusion model on autoregressive models, and it's outperforming them at every training iteration, at every training step. And in terms of training speed, that's what I was mentioning. Normalizing flows are really nice. You need to run only one time the fold pass. On the floor here, you can see the number of images per second as a function of the batch size. And you can see that StarFlow scales up really nicely. The higher the batch size, the more images per second. You have a much better throughput than with the other models. Okay, so I think that's all for this paper. Really nice paper from a few months ago. I think it's really it's giving a new life to normalizing flows. Again, normalizing flows are really nice because they allow exact density estimation. It's not a low bound or an approximation. It's exact density estimation. It's very useful in science. Again, they're very easy to train. The training loss behaves very nicely. It correlates very well with image quality. So let's see what this work leads to, but it's very awesome work.